was your weekend?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm trying to do 15 things this morning, and for some reason, the sun has decided to come into this portion of the kitchen, but the other room just seemed too dark this morning. But I'm going to say good morning. Good morning. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. I did. I stayed on my way of getting things done, which is what I told you my mission was. After being in the dark for 5 days, I said, that's it. I have to come up with a new approach to living, and I met my goal, which was to get rid of a lot of stuff and give some stuff away, which I did. And so I woke up feeling pretty good this morning, still feeling that I have a lot more to do. I am reclaiming my space, reclaiming what is mine, what I want to give to others, and what I need to throw away. And so that's what I'm in the process of doing. The exciting thing is that every time I clean out an area, I almost want to do a jig. I want to do a dance because it's exciting to see progress. In my going through stuff, I found a picture of my apartment in New York, and it was just so neat and organized. Of course, there were no remnants of having, child, husband, anything like that. And of course, I had less. I was, of course, a grad student at the time, and everything was just in its place. And I said, I used to live like that, But then life kind of folds in on you, when you come up with, travel, and you get so many things. Having lived overseas, the thing was to get as much as you could, because you don't know if you'd ever get back to Europe and be able to afford the things that you would see. And I would see such wonderful things. And I was looking through my cabinets, and, I have, Capitamani, and I have Lladros and things like that my daughter could probably give, nothing for. Okay. So I always tell people, well, look for it on eBay or down at the flea market. Something happened to me because, they don't know what the value was. And it wasn't that they cost that much, is that it was just always thought to be, just precious little figurines, precious little knickknacks, And my mother had knickknacks. And, I think when I went and cleaned out her space, that was one thing that I knew, since nobody else was helping me, that it was just a lot of work. And so I've just decided to take on the work now and start giving things away and throwing things away and just being a little bit more organized in my life. And that's what I'm doing. I'm hoping that you've, made some discoveries about yourself along these past months that we've been certainly quarantined, or at least less social, because some people have never quarantined themselves. They've just been a little less social, only because the houses that they wanted to go to said, don't come here. But it wasn't as if they really wanted to be in a position of stay home. Well, I know I'm in the state of Florida, and the governor, DeSantis, lifted everything. So basically, people are back to living their lives. And I remember driving around Saturday. I had to go out and pick up a few things, and I was utterly amazed. Good morning, Dee Dee. Everything was just crowded everywhere you look. People, trying to get in tight spaces, and, people were close. And I was just trying to go and pick up a few things in the market, because since Hurricane Sally, I don't have any, and now I don't have much food, but I decided I'm not going to get that much food again. I'm a person that if I don't want all of something, I will freeze half of it. And then after a while, I forget what the heck I froze, unless I'm really diligent about writing it down. And sometimes I am, and sometimes I'm not. But I just decided I kind of like it with less up in there, and so I'm going to do that with other portions of my house and become this minimalist that I've been, or less. I don't know if I could become an extreme minimalist, but just saying that I want less, which they say less actually helps you feel like you have more, because it says with a lot of things around you, it takes away your energy and your ability to think and to act, and kind of steals your joy, if there's too much stuff around. That includes people too. Sometimes you can't get rid of the people, but you might be able to get rid of some of the stuff and tell them to take it with them. That would be good. That would be good. But anyway, good morning. Good morning. As I said, I hope you've had a wonderful weekend. I'm back, feeling good, ready to move on out. And so today we're dealing with way, W-A-Y, the way of something, your way. I found a poem by William Stafford that speaks to the way it is. It's the title of his poem. And it says, there is a thread you follow. It goes among things that change, but it doesn't change. People wander about what you are pursuing. You have to explain about the thread, but it's hard for others to see. While you hold it, you can't get lost. Tragedies happen. People get hurt or die, and you suffer and you get old. Nothing you can do stops unfolding. You don't ever let go of the thread. So that is the way it is. Like we live every day in hopes that we get to do all the things that we want to do. Some people might be cut short, on being able to do all the things that was in their plan and their thread. And others get to do a lot of things in the thread that they've woven. The path they've woven, the way they've woven it, just says that was their plan. But we strive every day to have a plan. We strive every day to have a way that we go about, but not all of us do. But let me ask you this question this morning. Are you stuck? Periodically, you're going to get stuck, no matter what you say, no matter what you do. Things are going to come, hurricanes, bad weather, it might be a divorce you weren't seeing coming, or it might be, leaving from a job, or the pandemic, which none of us were really prepared for. We were running out trying to do things. Good morning, Deborah. We were running out trying to do things that showed us how limited we were on certain things. It might have been supplies, it might have been food, it might have been the fact that the hurricane hit and we only had, 4 candles, trying to light a house, without burning it down, or the flashlights, or we needed D batteries. That was my issue. I needed some D batteries, but every time I went to the dollar store, I won't pay too much for them. They were gone. And so there were no D batteries, unless I went up to Lowe's, or I think Lowe's had them, and also Home Depot. But they wanted $8.99 for 4 batteries. Now it might have been 2, but it was expensive. So if you needed a lot of them, like for one little flashlight, then that was it. But anyway, we made it through. I got through all of that. But anyway, I love this poem because it really talked about the fact that we should pursue something. We should hold on to something. We should have our own way of doing what we want to do, not waiting on anybody else to tell us, not getting permission from anybody. I mean, that's the way we should live our lives. We should live our lives where we feel fulfilled on what it is we're doing. So let me ask you this question this morning. If you're stuck, say so. And it could be the stuck on even deciding what way you want to go since the hurricane. Because I've had a few friends tell me that things had changed for them, such as food wasn't being paid for, or the adjuster had come by but wasn't sure what would be covered. And so we have a lot of things that we might be struggling with in our way, that's in our way going forward. And so we have to figure out what our way is. So when we speak to way is talking about, it's a method. It's your own style. It's a manner of doing something. There are 2 ways of approaching a problem, or there may be 3 ways, or even 4 ways. But the idea is that there is a method behind it. And sometimes we don't even know what our method should be. We may have to take one method one way that takes us so far and then switch to another method. We never know. But anyway, when we talk about, the whole idea of way, we're talking about our method, our course of action, our process, our procedure, our technique, a system that we've devised, our plan, our strategy, our scheme, our means of mechanism, what a new routine may be versus what it was before, our manner of approach, our route, our road, and I always love this, our modus operandi. When I worked in special services for kids, good morning, Melvin. When I worked in special assistance for kids with mental problems, one of the things they always talked about when they went to the court system was what was their modus operandi, what motivated them to do whatever they did. And I always have it in my back of my mind, I don't know. We'll have to ask them if they can explain it, because sometimes when you have, an issue where there might be a mental illness, they may not even know why they did something. That's just the way of life. That's the way their life is. But also when we have a way, we talk about a road taken, a track, a path, or street for traveling along. So all those things pretty much tell us it's going to guide us, going to give us some direction forward. And sometimes we can go to the end of a road not realizing that it was dead, not realizing that we ended up on a road that had no way forward. We had to turn around. And how many of us have had to turn around? We've turned around on a lot of things. Sometimes we've been in relationships and we had to turn around. We've been in jobs and we had to turn around, maybe quit. We've had a house that we lost, because we needed to lose the house. It was more than what we could take care of. Okay. So sometimes our way is revealed to us, even if we don't want to go that way. It's forced upon us. And so we need to understand that that's the way it is. So anyway, when we break the word down, we start with weave. And you say, well, Sandy, why'd you take weave? Well, the weave really talks about how things come together, how they mesh. It says a particular style or manner in which something is woven. So sometimes we weave and sometimes other things have been weaved for us. And so we don't really know how to unravel what's been weaved if we haven't looked at it, haven't examined it, haven't broken it down to make it where it's understandable to us. Have you ever seen someone have a ball of yarn and say the yarn sometimes, and in the original roll, they may have had what I would say a coordinated way of coming together. But then the cat or somebody gets on the yarn and it unravels and it rolls all over the place. And somehow or another it gets entangled. Same thing with our hair, same thing with certain things. They just automatically try to keep the flow of things going in a direction which makes it manageable. But in the event that something happens where the weave is off, where the weave is so entangled, we can't do much with it. So when we talk about the weave as it is towards our way, we have to do the weaving, because we have to know how we're going to manage what way we're going, how we're going to get it done, what's entailed in it, what makes up this path. And so, it talks about weave being something that's intertwined, how the weaving is it's an interlace or a twist. And we don't want things twisted to the point where we can't even recognize them. But I know some of us have probably had to cut things off only because the knots were too tight. The weave was too woven for us to deal with it. So it talks about something being entwined and merged together. It talks about an interwork, a blend, an interlock. It says where something has been introduced in such a way that it cannot be managed. It talks about it being fused. A fuse is when something is just, you can't even tell where one end ends and another one begins because the connection is so tight. It's so tight. And so we talk about the unite, the work, the interknit, the blend of something, the plait of something, like with hair, okay, and to the whole incorporation of things. So all that talks about the weave. And when we look at our way forward, we need to talk about and look at how we're weaving things together, how we're making it where we understand the path we're going in, we understand what needs to be involved. Is it just us, or do we need others with us to make it our way forward? What's a part of that weave? What makes it manageable? What makes it where the weave is still ours because we created it, and it wasn't created for us? Because sometimes we will try to fit into ways that really say it's not ours and it doesn't belong to us. So therefore we have to move outside of it and try to what I would say, examine it enough to say, what is the way I go forward with this? Because maybe I just need to stop this and start a new way, start a new weave. And how many of you have done that? How many of you have literally, cut out something and started something new? I know I have. It becomes, after a while, it becomes a necessary thing to do. Because to go in a direction, to go in a way that's not, beneficial, that's not panning out, that's not, bearing fruit, getting resolve, moving forward, certainly says I need to let this one go. And I need to recreate it from the ground up, where I know every single step, every single weave, forward, as opposed to it already being created. Now the A of way is for approach. Approach. Sometimes it's how we go forward. It's not that we're not going forward. It's how our approach to going forward may be the necessary outcome. May bring us to a necessary outcome. Because it says approach. It says come near or nearer to something or someone in distance or time about something, typically with a proposal or request. It's a way of dealing with something. So when we're planning things, when we're really looking objectively at things that make it where we might need to go to someone else, or we might need to say, how am I going to get from point A to point B? I need a car, or I need money, or so we have to plan for those things. You have to factor those things in. So our approach towards our way forward needs to be that we've really looked at something. And it says, when you're looking at something in your approach, we're looking at, how do I talk about this? How do I bring this up? How do I make it where it's understood that, if I need money, then my intention is to pay it back. And it says that your approach may also be, your salute to understanding yourself and understanding where you're going and what you're needing to do. It says it's your hail, meaning I know what I'm doing. Hail to the queen. Hail to the king. I know what I'm doing. It's your proposition, it's your solicit, and it's your buttonhole, meaning I got this. I know how I need to do this because my approach is simple. My approach is understandable. My approach is worthy of going forward. But I have to know how I got to do it. I just can't do it because somebody told me to do it. I need to do it where it makes sense for me. And a lot of times we are in really somebody else's way when we're trying to do something that needs to be our way of doing it. And that means that, it's going to probably be a clash of some sort, because we haven't really thought it through as to how it pertains to us and how it pertains to them. We really have to be what I would call objective. And sometimes we're not objective. We don't always put ourselves in a position that makes it work for us. We work for other people. We always do. We always will. There will always be bosses. There will always be relationships. There will always be, children and parents. One realization is that I remember when I was a little child, I always used to look up to my mother and father with such high esteem. And I kept that high esteem and my love for them all through their lives. But I remember as they grew older, then they needed to look to me to help them with certain things. And that's what happens, it's like it's a transfer of not necessarily title, because a mother and father are always mothers and fathers, but it was a transfer of what was needed and who was to administer it, or who was to give it, who was to, form the way on how it was to be done. And I didn't so much get that with my dad, because my dad died before I was even out of high school. I think I might have been in my 10th grade. So I was, still needing, to know what my dad knew in life. And he was such a wonderful man. And then with my mom, it was just the opposite. My mom lived to a great old age. So for her, I saw where I was able to do for her when she could no longer do for herself. Her way had become, more distractible and more disoriented, because the age brought on by just years of living just kind of said, okay, things change. And so we have to approach things as if we understand the way forward. And when our way gets distorted, then we need to also say, okay, I need some help. I need somebody to help me do this. So the last letter in way, of course, is Y, and that's yours. The Y is for yours, your way. And then yours is used to refer to a thing or things belonging to or associated with the person or people that the speaker is addressing. So if I'm talking about something that's yours, it may be, your view, your way, your ideas, your passion, your love, your care, all those things having to do with you. Whereas if I'm talking about myself, then it would be myself, me. And so if I'm have been involved in talking with you about your way of going forward, it's not my way. So all you're doing is explaining which way you want to go. And it might be a discussion that you've, brought me in on. However, I can't tell you how to go. I can't tell you what to do. But I certainly will, support and endorse your way, and sometimes we have to be mindful of that when we're talking to other people. It's like their way is their way. Now, yeah, people get lost. We all get lost. And when we get lost, it would be wonderful to have a person that we can rely on, like through our Sisters of Gideon at our church. They're just strong women, and we get together through our, even though we can't meet on a regular basis, with the virus still out there, we do it through Zoom, and we still have a wonderful time. We still provide support, and sometimes it may be support in dropping food by somebody's house, or clothing, or just a word on the phone, or a text message, just to still extend what I would call the love and care of people, letting them know that their way, it hasn't been forgotten, that people are still supporting. And sometimes that's what we have to do, is extend ourselves a little bit. But anyway, when it talks about the yours, it talks about you, yourself. Now these words are old, thine and thy. They remind me of the Bible, but it's your own. And here's what I would call a millennial word. It's use. It's use. Y-O-U-Z. It's use. Never really would use that word, but I know that I've heard it in conversation with younger folks. So we really look at, the things that are yours can only be yours. The way you create, which way you want to go, that's yours. How you do it, when you do it, when you stop doing it, all belong to you. And sometimes we don't even realize that we've gotten out of our own way in order for something to progress. When I see progress, that tells me that the way I'm taking is good. When I see where I've been stymied, I've been stalled, I've been held up, then I have a problem. I do have a problem. And sometimes we don't even know we're stalled. We have virtually no idea that we're stalled. But I would like to certainly say that I'm feeling good about the decisions that I've recently made, that just says that I see progress. And so I can't wait till I can run through here and almost have an echo on the main floor and then upstairs, where I'm just, and I'm having fun giving it away to people that need it, so sometimes we just have to also figure out the usefulness for someone else. We can ask them if they want it and try and say, look, not to insult, but could you use this? This would certainly be, it would certainly warm my heart if you could use it. I certainly want to give it to you. And so that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm having my way of going forward. But I'm hoping that and praying that no matter what you've been involved in over the last 6 months, that you found a way that's working for you, that you're not depressed about, the situation, that you're finding good, you're finding what I would say a purpose. You're moving out on things. You can't let something like this stop you, because it will. I think a lot of people have felt just trapped because they didn't realize how social they were. They didn't realize it. And I am social, but if I have to get some work done, I'm going into my area of getting the work done. Otherwise, you never see any progress. It's hard to get to, because you want to do all the social activity things. So hopefully you've been productive and you formed your way. So I have a few questions. Here's the questions. Hey, Candace. Hey, Sweet Pea. How are you? Here's some questions for today's area on your way forward. Which way are you headed? That's question number 1. Where are you going? What is the way forward for you? What are you doing? Did you, during this pandemic, have you decided to go back to school and get another degree? Have you decided to begin your own business? And if you have, understand there's a new startup. It's called Startup on the Blocks. And I would love to trying to get back to being productive. It's hard. It is hard. It really is hard to be productive. But if you plan it every day, it's gonna be all right. One step at a time, it will work. Good morning, Kenny. But what I suggest you do in you're moving out on being forward is just make a plan. Make a plan every day. Do 5 minutes more, something that you added to from yesterday. Then 10, then 15, then 20. And build up to where, it's almost like exercise. It becomes routine. It's like brushing your teeth. It's like, before you go to bed, you say your prayers, if you're prayerful. Doing those kinds of things certainly puts you in a position, good morning, Gloria, where you're in control. That's what we're headed for. We want to be headed for I'm in control, as opposed to, something else controlling me. We don't want to be controlled by things. We don't. We want to be in control, where we're making decisions about what it is that we want in our lives and what it is that we do not want. So question number 2, what are you weaving in your way? Weaving, meaning not created for you, but what are you creating that is a weave towards your way forward? Meaning, what are you putting in there? What are your plans if you're going back to school? What are your plans if you, in fact, I'm helping someone plan a wedding in the middle of a pandemic. I'm helping them plan their wedding. That's my side job. I got several side jobs, but the weaving becomes how you orient yourself for your way. And it's your brand. It's someone else's. It's yours. What do you want to do? How do you want to get there? How do you want to weave it? Do you want, 4 strands, 5 strands? What are those strands? Break it down, where you make it your own. Good morning, girlfriend. That's so sweet. And that makes it exciting. If you're doing something that you've become the creative, mindful person in, then it's exciting. It really, really is exciting. Question number 3, what is your approach towards changing something, towards deciding which way you're going? I remember this cartoon when I was little, and they would always come out, and it was a dog. I don't know what dog it was. I don't know. But they would always say, which way are we going? Which way do we go? Which way do? And I always remember it because it was almost like it was a song. Which way do we go? And I think, that's us. We should be asking ourselves, which way do we go? Where are we going this morning? What are we adding to? What are we taking away, which makes the way going forward easier? How do we do it? How? Who's included in it? And sometimes the best way to go, my mother used to always say that the best way to go towards your dreams is that you go alone. You go alone, and even though my mom was a what I would call, they call them now the dream snatchers, because my mother didn't want me to be a professional singer. That's what I wanted to do. It's always what I wanted to do. I've never really done that. But I remember my voice teacher telling my mother, your daughter has a gift. That's what she should be doing. And I had finished college and I'd gone back home in New York, and my mother was still, nope, because I think there were 2 plays out on Broadway that I wanted to apply to go and put in my audition on. And my mother said no. And being the obedient baby, I said, okay, I'll get a job, just what she said. And so sometimes you have to realize that your way is important, even though you may have obstacles with people not wanting you to do stuff. And you may go with what their decision is for you. I still loved my mother, loved her, still love her now, because she was still creative enough to be excited about the things that I did do. Sometimes the course we take, the course we start, isn't the course that we end. I mean, I started off as a voice major in undergraduate school, and I ended up with a degree in education. How was that? So sometimes, you just realize that life changes. Sometimes your way gets strewed, it gets swayed. It turns. But that doesn't mean it didn't turn for the good, because it did. I wouldn't have known many of the people that I know and love here in New York and in Italy. I wouldn't have known those people had I probably been a professional singer. So our life is our life. It was already destined. I feel it was already destined for what I was to do. The last question is your way Is it your way or someone else's way for you? And I can, good morning, Rob. I can honestly say that sometimes we don't even realize that others have selected what we're going to do, when we're going to do it, how we're going to do it, who we're going to do it with. And it's not our decision. It isn't. But we need to be upfront with that. We need to be confronting with that. We need to speak on the issue, talk about it, and discuss it. We say, wait a minute, this approach is not my approach. It's yours for me. I need to have my approach, and my approach includes this and this and this, not you. And because some people don't want to be, released. They don't want to be let go of. They feel that they're part of creating you. Like I was watching a little bit of Dreamgirls yesterday, and just to watch how that business is, I don't know if I could have handled that, because my parents taught us to be sensitive, sensible, and basically shining personalities. All of us were. All of us. We were giving and loving and kind. We were taught that, even though there were 10 of us. All of us pretty much had similar personalities in terms of that goodness that God had just bestowed upon us. So I don't know if I could have handled people mistreating me. And it looks like that kind of business. So my mother, in this instance, I think she took the best shot for me by saying no. Because I was young, What does somebody at 22 really know about, the underbelly of the city, the underbelly of what people can do to you when you're first going out the gate, All I had was school, and I didn't know, I didn't do much at school, and except I was a residence hall director and occasionally had to kick people out of the dorm. Other than that, I didn't have nothing going on. I didn't have nothing going on. So, sometimes you just have to understand that your way is your way. But you have to be, I think, sometimes on a level where you can handle your own way. And sometimes we never let the other person's hand go. We continue to hold on to it. We continue to let them guide us. And then that's when we feel lost. And so, every day I tell people, okay, so what would you do? Because people call me and ask me questions. What do you think, Sandy? What do you think, Doc? And I would always try to get back to them. No, it's not what I think. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think, how far you think you can go with what your plan is. Let's work on your plan, And your plan includes, and sometimes that's when you find out that people don't have a plan. They don't have a way forward. They don't know how to do it because others have always crowded in on their ability and their way of saying, I can do this. And when people are answering for you, you can't answer for yourself. They've already put in an answer. Yes, she'll do it. Yes, he will. Did you really want to do it? So there it is. That's what I'm saying. Have your own way. Make your way forward. Be the one that weaves your own quilt of how you want it to look, what is included in it, how you're going to get there, when you will arrive, knowing that you need to still go on. All those things certainly address what your way, not my way, but what way you go will be. And your approach. Look at your approach in a way that pretty much sets you up for success. Because sometimes we have all the things that can make it successful, but what do we do with them? We give it away. We give it away. Or we get distracted and we don't go back to it. But I think the people that have decided to start a business, they can do it. They can do it. And I think I started talking about the startups on the block. They meet every Thursday night on, and if you want that email address, because it's an email and you sign in and you get a ticket, and they do an online networking. And there's money out there for people who want to start businesses. All you need to do is pitch an idea. You don't have to be that technically savvy, because they have technicians out there available to assist you. So there's room. There's room for you to build your own brand, build your ideas, go forward. But you have to decide if you want to do it. And I believe you can. I believe you should. And I certainly encourage you to do it. Okay? I want you to have a wonderful day. I want you to get in your own way and not someone else's way. And get them out of your way if they're there. And look for me tomorrow. I'll be here at 9 a.m. Central Daylight Time, which changes, I think, sometimes next month. And we'll go back on Standard Time. But I love you. I appreciate you, all those who stop. And I know there's others out there that don't necessarily show up on the live, but I want you to have a great day. Yeah, have a great day, Maurice. I missed seeing you in there. But anyway, you all take care. Be blessed. Bye-bye.